Yeah, so 120 Water, we're a software as a service company, meaning that we build cloud-based software to help solve some of the industry's challenges. Primarily, we've been focused on the lead and copper rule, which is a major overhaul of a decades-long regulation. That's kind of been a thorn in the side of a lot of utilities. So our founder and our team has been working vigorously since 2016 to build modern solutions to deal with these compliance issues, for what we know to be true today. And these regulatory changes have quite a long tail of impact. So we're certainly designing and preparing and our solutions and our partners for long-term success with that.
Anything you want to bounce off with that?
Like Lowell said, we're a software as a service company. We are helping lots of small utilities with compliance with the lead and copper rule, but also with we're going to be branching out, to other compliance things, hopefully, and not just be with the lead and copper rule. But you also asked us, tell us a little bit about ourselves. Do you want to know more about me?
Absolutely. Also? Yeah. Tell us about your career path. What brought you to 120 Water. Share whatever you'd like.
Oh, good. That's so fun. I love doing that. I actually worked with the Alliance of Indiana Rural Water for 17 years before I came on here to 120 about 2.5 years ago. And I did the marketing and public relations, the event planning, all of that stuff for the association. Kind of had my eye on 120 Water for quite a while, since Megan Glover, our CEO, came to the first Alliance conference, actually, because 120 is based out of Zionsville, Indiana. So kind of had my eye on them, and I applied. They didn't poach me or anything from the association, but I applied, and they were working with Rural Water Association states and everything. So they asked, hey, do you want to join and do that? And I was like, of course I do. I still get to work with Rural Water, and I get to do something with software and in the water industry. Yeah, so that's kind of my career path. I work on the marketing team now and help the Rural Water Associations with their marketing to the members as far as our part goes, what we do at 120 and lead copper and stuff like that.
Wow, what a blessing. That's awesome.
Yeah, Laura is a blessing to our organization. I have served in a number of areas here at 120. I oversee a lot of our strategic partnerships. When you're trying to grow and build a company, oftentimes, especially in water, you need partnerships to do that. So I've had the good fortune of primarily focusing on rural water and building our affinity programs, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But I spent about a decade working for another nonprofit trade association. It's kind of similar to NRWA, but for hardware stores. And then I got into technology, and I was amazed at what, a lot of the advancements that were happening and the problems that technology could solve, and just kind of fell in love with it. And I actually went to school with Megan, our founder. We overlapped at DePaul University for a couple of years and had a network of folks that were working there. And as I said this morning at the award ceremony, I think we had less than 20 employees when I started, less than 75 customers. We're over 100 employees with over 12,000 utilities now that are utilizing our software. It's been tremendous. So I've been here 5 years now, and we're making headway every single day. It's a lot of fun.
So we know that you've had an affinity partnership with NRWA for several years now. How would you describe the impact of that partnership on rural utilities throughout the country?
Well, it's a fewfold, really. I think the first is, with regulatory change comes a massive knowledge gap, right? This overhaul, this rule came with that, in total, with the rule itself and the funding packages that came behind it. You're talking about thousands of pages of legal documents. So I think the partnership itself, we recognized early that, 90% of the systems in this country serve less than 10,000 people. So it's a very rural country. And what that means is there's a lot of systems that have, in some cases, declining tax bases. They don't have a lot of resources, both in human capital or monetary capital. And we thought, how in the heck are these small systems? I'm from a town of about 600 people, very small rural town in Indiana. And I kept thinking, how would Milton, Indiana, handle this massive regulatory change? Sure. So when Laura came on, and as we really got to thinking about how can we make an impact, not only to grow our business, but to help enhance the industry, was we have to find out where all these rural water small communities go for help. And we identified they rely on rural water associations and NRWA for a lot of this stuff. So the affinity program is really embedded in how do we create education and training for these complicated changes in regulatory policy. And I think, I have given personally probably over 500 hours of training. I've traveled to 33 states, all due to our great marketing team. Laura and her team kind of help us figure out where we need to go, how we need to do it. So I think we've impacted it in that capacity. I think secondarily, part of the affinity program is about pulling modern resources and solutions like ours within reach to smaller, under-resourced communities. So the affinity program gives all rural water members a 15% discount on our software and services. And we do a lot of sampling, and you see our partner here at Brito, like pitchers and filters. We have a lot of consumables that water systems can use. We give 5% discounts on those. So to date, I think we're approaching like $1 million in savings. We also offer, you wonder how your executive team feels about just giving away $1 million. But I know that, and Laura knows this, that is real money back in the operating budgets of these systems that have to deal with this requirement by law. And then we also, for the help that we get from our rural water partners, we do offer revenue share. Like if we have success, we want to share in that. So we have, I think, in total, maybe 200,000?
I think so. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think we've shared back $200,000 in revenue to our partners, so back to RWAs themselves. And so that's, I think, two ways that the affinity partner, anything to add, Laura?
Great. I think that you pretty much summed it up, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, we're kind of like, this law goes into effect next month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But the EPA is releasing an improvement or a new version of the rule that will go into effect in 2027. So we're very much, it's like the appetizer course is done. We're about to hit the main course, the meat and potatoes. And then like Laura said, we're going to be moving on into some other areas. But, compliance is one of those things, like no one loves to do their taxes, but you got to do it. And companies like TurboTax have kind of, in the past made that a little bit easier, instead of filing through all this stuff. It's kind of what we do. And we're excited to take that into new arenas as well.
Given all the work 120 Water has done up to this point with utilities on the lead and copper rule revisions, what are some of the next biggest challenges utilities are facing?
Well, I think one of the things that's been talked about a lot here at the conference, and I know NRWA has been incredibly involved, is the emerging contaminants like PFAS, PFOA, these long chain carbons that have been entering the water stream for years. I think, drinking water and distribution systems, are the lifeblood of any community, right? There is no local economy. There's nothing without the health of a community. And that the foundation of that is water. Human beings can only go 3 days without water. We can go 21 days without food, but water is kind of like the lifeblood. So I think we are going to see a more stringent and more complicated regulatory future based on how EPA is trying to keep up with the changes in private industry and manufacturing. And so I think that one of the things that we are trying to really focus on is, we are in the midst of one of the greatest technological kind of waves and advancements in a generation. And we think that better management and centralization of data and taking action on that data is going to make the ability for water systems to not only operate but comply with all of these existing but also the future regulations that we can only imagine and anticipate are coming down the pipe. So we're hoping to foster this new way of thinking and this wave of what we call digital transformation, where water systems are becoming more resilient, both in the form of infrastructure, but also on how they manage and maintain that through the lens of regulation and compliance.
Yeah, that was a great way to talk about what's coming next and everything. But as far as the lead and copper rule goes, what's next is communications.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. No,
yes.
You answered it totally. But also then for the little part of the lead and copper rule that once people have these inventories developed and turned in October 16th, They will be responsible for notifying their customers of any unknown lead or galvanized requiring replacement lines, which is going to be a huge lift for them. A lot of unknowns are out there right now. I think it's like 60%.
Yeah, of the 7 million lines so our database currently has about 7 million service lines underneath our management, and roughly 60% of those have an unknown classification. So like Laura said, the EPA is going to require them to send a notification to those homeowners. So we're talking about millions and millions of letters that have to be sent to meet compliance. And I failed to mention, we all kind of know that lead is a very toxic substance. Like, it's a neurotoxin that is very, very bad. We heard about Flint, Michigan. We've heard about the Romans poisoning themselves to death with their lead aqueducts. But it's also a very toxic subject to talk about. People are very scared about it. We've banned it, paint, gasoline. We've been on a mission since the 70s to really get rid of this as a threat to public health. And utilities are going to be required to talk about that. So we are on a mission to help utilities responsibly and effectively talk about this and share the great work that they're doing to protect the communities that they serve.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what we've been doing with our partnerships in the last, half of the year. So we've been talking about the importance of the rural utilities communicating with their customers and making sure they've got that good base of communication so that when they do have to deliver news about perhaps this is lead, they're not freaking out because they know their utility, they know those folks. It's the same beat that the drum that Rural Water has been beating for years, talking about how utilities really need to toot their own horns. They need to let people know, hey, we do a good job, you have good water, so on and so forth, and really be out there and not just behind the scenes. So we're trying to partner with the associations and help them kind of get that word out and help them with the marketing behind that.
All right. Well, that's awesome. And, I speak for National Rural Water. We appreciate y'all's partnership and thank y'all so much for everything that you guys do. Is there anything else y'all would want to share in closing to bounce off on our way out for our viewers?
Don't stop working. For all the utilities and the RWA, the Rural Water Associations, keep up the great work. Again, I can't imagine that the regulatory landscape is going to get any easier. We saw some great awards this morning from Rural Water Associations doing amazing things. Just keep up the great work, and we'll find our way through it as we always do. It's the most resilient group of people in industry I've ever had a chance of getting to work around. So keep it up.
Yeah, just very proud to be part of this group and the industry, and just for be a part of it.
Rural Water is a blessing, and it's awesome to be a part of. Even for me being on the video side, it's been so awesome just to get to see the passion that so many people have in the work, that goes into doing things that, sometimes you don't get a pat on the back, or sometimes nobody knows the type of hard work that you do, or, what goes into making something happen and making making our lives easier, or even our lives possible. Like you said, 3 days, that's what it takes if you don't have water. And there's so much that goes into that, more than just turning on your faucet.
Yes, sir.
And so it's such a blessing. And thank you guys so much. And we're going to send it back to you guys. Hope you guys are having a great time at WATERPRO.